They didn't beg. They didn't scream. Because by the time they realized what was happening, the decision had already been placed in their hands. The first victim was found in an abandoned warehouse on the edge of the city. No signs of struggle, no defensive wounds. No fingerprints. Just a man sitting calmly on a metal chair, eyes open, expression frozen in shock. In front of him, on the floor, were two objects, a loaded handgun, and a small digital timer, still counting down from 0. Detectives initially believed it was suicide, but then they noticed something strange. The gun had no fingerprints, not even the victim's, and the timer? It wasn't a bomb trigger, it was a choice timer. Engraved on its back were 3 words: "You decided this." Within a week, a second body was discovered. Different location, different victim, same setup. This time, a woman in her early 30s was found inside a locked motel room. The door had been bolted from the inside, window sealed shut, no forced entry. She was seated on the bed. In front of her, a syringe filled with a clear liquid, a plastic bag tied loosely around her neck, and beside them, another timer. Same engraving. "You decided this." Autopsy confirmed something chilling. She had injected herself. The plastic bag had never been used. She had chosen. By the third case, investigators stopped calling it coincidence. They started calling it the choice killer. What made this killer different wasn't the method. It was the psychology. No chasing. No kidnapping. No visible violence. Each victim was alone when they died. And every crime scene showed the same thing. 2 options. 1 choice. 1 death. Detective Aaron Cole stared at the evidence board late into the night. Photos of victims lined the wall. Strings connected locations. Notes covered every inch. But there was one detail that haunted him. Every victim had received something before their death. A message, sometimes an email, sometimes a letter, sometimes a phone call that lasted less than 10 seconds. The content was always the same. A calm voice, a simple sentence. "In 48 hours, you will be given a choice." No threats. No instructions. Just a warning. When investigators traced the victims' backgrounds, a pattern began to emerge. All of them had escaped consequences for something. A hit and run covered up. A false testimony. A workplace death ruled an accident. A ruined life that never made the news. Legally innocent. Morally guilty. And somehow, the killer knew. The public reaction was explosive. Some called the killer a monster. Others whispered something more dangerous: justice. Online forums began debating the choices. Which option would you pick? Which death was quicker? Was choosing still murder? If the killer never touched you, the killer stayed silent until the 4th message appeared. This time, it wasn't sent to a victim. It was sent to the police. A single email. No address. No trace. Just one line: "The next choice won't be theirs." Detective Cole felt his stomach drop. Because for the first time, the killer wasn't talking about punishment. He was talking about escalation. And somewhere in the city, someone was about to lose the right to choose. The message didn't come with a name. It came with a choice. On Daniel Reeves' phone screen, 2 options appeared in plain text. Option A: call the police now. Option B: wait 24 hours and learn why your name was chosen. Daniel stared at the screen, heart racing. He had already contacted the police after receiving the first envelope. They told him not to engage, to hand everything over. To stay calm. But the killer wasn't asking for obedience. He was offering control, and control was the trap. Daniel waited. 23 hours later, another message arrived, this time with the location: an abandoned subway station beneath the city, sealed decades ago after a fire. The killer's instructions were clear: come alone, bring no devices, and choose before entering. When Daniel arrived, the station lights flickered on automatically. A speaker crackled to life. "Welcome, Daniel. You're early." "That's good. People who arrive early usually want to live." The voice was calm, educated, almost kind. The killer explained the rules. Inside the station were 2 rooms. Daniel would be led to one at random. Inside each room was a different scenario, both fatal. Unless Daniel made the correct choice in time, one choice would end quickly, the other would not. "But here's the truth," the voice said. "You've already decided. Everyone does. I don't kill people, Daniel. I listen to them." Before Daniel could respond, the speaker cut out. The lights shifted. A door opened. At the same moment, across the city, detectives monitoring the case realized something terrifying. Every victim had been given a choice, but the choices were psychological tests, designed to reveal fear patterns, hesitation thresholds, and moral reflexes. The killer wasn't improvising, he was studying, and Daniel wasn't the first subject who had been brought to a controlled environment. He was just the first who survived long enough to talk about it. As Daniel stepped forward, unaware of how closely he was being watched, the killer activated another screen, one showing multiple names, each already marked with a symbol. Some symbols meant choice accepted, others meant choice failed. Daniel's name was still unmarked, for now. The message that appeared on the screen changed everything. It wasn't a threat. It wasn't a command. It was a choice. You have 60 minutes. Choose how this ends. The victim, Marcus Hill, stared at the tablet bolted to the wall in front of him. The room was silent except for his breathing and the soft ticking of a countdown timer that had just started. Two options appeared on the screen. Option A, a slow process. Painful, drawn out, survival unlikely. Option B, fast, minimal pain, certain death. Below the options was a third line, smaller than the rest. Your decision will determine what happens next. Marcus screamed for help. The soundproof walls swallowed every sound. He tried the door again. Locked. Reinforced. He grabbed the tablet and smashed it against the wall. The screen didn't crack. The timer kept ticking. Across the city, Detective Elena Brooks was watching the same feed live. The killer had sent it directly to her unit's secure server. Not anonymously, not hidden. Deliberately. The killer wanted witnesses, not just victims. Elena realized something terrifying in that moment. The killer wasn't trying to escape justice. He was testing it. As the timer dropped below 40 minutes, Marcus collapsed to the floor, begging, crying, bargaining with no one. The screen lit up again. No choice is also a choice. Suddenly, the room's lights dimmed, and a calm synthetic voice spoke for the first time. Decision delayed. Escalation initiated. Elena shouted orders, tracing the signal, rerouting cyber teams, activating emergency warrants. But the system was layered, bouncing through international servers, private networks, dead digital zones. This wasn't a serial killer operating on impulse. This was someone who had planned every outcome. Marcus made his decision at 12 minutes remaining. He pressed option B. The timer stopped. The feed cut to black. When police finally breached the location 37 minutes later, they found Marcus exactly where the camera last showed him. No signs of struggle. No weapon. No fingerprints, just a printed sheet placed neatly on his chest. He chose. That phrase would appear again. Within days, a second video arrived. Another victim, another room, another set of options. But this time, something was different. The options weren't physical, they were moral. The killer was evolving. And Elena understood the most disturbing truth yet. The killer wasn't deciding who lived or died. He was studying how people choose when death becomes their responsibility. And now, the city was watching. The task force finally understood one thing clearly. This killer wasn't choosing victims at random, and he wasn't giving them choices for fun. He was testing something. Every victim had been given two options. On paper, the options looked different locations, different methods, different risks. But when analysts broke it down, they noticed something disturbing. Both choices always led to the same outcome. Death, just through different paths. Some victims tried to outsmart him. They chose what they thought was the safer option. Some chose quickly, hoping speed would save them. Others hesitated for hours, analyzing every word of the message. It didn't matter. The killer had already calculated their psychology. Investigators revisited the messages sent to each victim. The language was subtle, precise, almost therapeutic. No threats. No insults. Just calm explanations. This isn't punishment. This is observation. Your decision will help others understand themselves. That's when the profiler noticed something chilling. The killer wasn't watching the victims die. He was watching them decide. Server logs recovered from a hidden cloud account showed screen recordings, cursor movements, hesitation times, changes of mind. The killer tracked how long a victim hovered over each choice before clicking. He logged fear, he logged confidence, he logged regret. The deaths were data points, and the data was growing. One victim, however, broke the pattern. A man named Ethan Cole, a behavioral economics researcher, received the same message, but he didn't choose either option. Instead, he replied, not with panic, not with anger, but with a question. What happens if I don't play? For the first time, the killer responded differently. Not immediately, not automatically, There was a delay, 17 minutes. Then the message appeared. Non-participants are also participants. Ethan didn't die that night. He disappeared. Security cameras showed him leaving his apartment calmly. Phone in his pocket. Lights still on. No sign of struggle. No forced entry. No destination. The killer had changed the rules. And the task force realized something worse. The game wasn't ending. It was evolving. Because now, the killer wasn't just letting victims choose how they died. He was letting them choose whether they believed they had a choice at all. The final choice was never meant for a victim. It was meant for the killer. After weeks of decoding messages, investigators finally understood the pattern. The killer didn't just offer options, he studied how people decided under pressure. Each choice was a psychological test, designed to expose fear, guilt, or denial. The deaths weren't random, they were data points. Then a mistake appeared. A message went out with a timing error sent during a window only one network node could access. That narrowed the search to a single person who had helped design decision-based training simulations years earlier, Evan Rowe, a former behavioral analyst dismissed after ethics violations. Surveillance followed quietly. No confrontation, no warning. When agents moved in, they found something unexpected. Rowe had prepared a final scenario. A sealed envelope on his desk. Inside was a single prompt, addressed to the task force. You've watched people choose. Now, it's your turn. But the system was already disabled. The servers were offline. The game had ended. Rowe didn't resist arrest. In interrogation, he admitted everything without emotion. He said the choices were never about death. They were about control, he said. People reveal who they are when they believe they're choosing. In court, the evidence was overwhelming. The psychological framework, the digital trail, the timing errors, every piece aligned. Rowe was convicted on multiple counts and sentenced to life without parole. In the aftermath, policies changed. Decision-based simulations were restricted, oversight tightened, and the victims' families received something they'd been denied for too long: clarity. The case closed with the final report summary that ended on one line: freedom isn't proven by the choices we're given, it's proven by who controls them. If this story made you think, like the video and subscribe for more psychological crime stories. Thank you for watching.